this is whatever in the academic writing, language skills are extremely essential from the start to the finish, isn't it? Confidence in language. Confidence in language. This would impede the publication of research papers and theses for lack of language proficiency to publish them in a wider range of journals. Unfortunately, many a research paper impact and finding does not get published in Q1 journal for these drawbacks of their language. So, the theme of today's research launch is making academic writing easy. Firstly, you will listen to two expert talks. After that, the panel discussion will. Then you can raise any questions in this regard. Let me introduce the first expert in our research lounge. He is Professor Mahesh Jaiveeran. He obtained BSc in Civil Engineering from the University of Moratuwa and PhD in Environmental Engineering from Saitama University, Japan, and carried out collaborative work with more than 10 countries. He at present works as a professor. He is a chartered engineer, a member of Institute of Engineers Sri Lanka, a member of the Institute of Environment Professionals Sri Lanka, International Water Association, and a life member of Sri Lanka Association for Advancement of Science. His areas of expertise are environmental appraisals, environmental impact assessment, environmental due diligence, environmental pollution control, wastewater engineering, solid waste management, and noise and vibration control, and he has been engaged in such disciplines for more than 30 years. Until recently, he worked as an advisor on environmental related work for the Ministry of Megapolis and Western Development, Sri Lanka. He has undertaken more than 100 in relation to the above mentioned areas. He has experience in similar works funded by the research in diverse areas and published more than 70 journal and conference papers. So, making academic writing easy. I think he is the most suitable person to we invite you to share your valuable thought with our students for their benefits.
Thank you very much, Naina. And it's actually a great pleasure today for me to, just share some of my thoughts with you, particularly on this topic called the making academic writing easy. And what I'm going to do today is to share some of my experiences and thoughts on the use of the commercially available AI inbuilt software. Because you know that when it comes to the postgraduate, every one of us is prepared to write, good academic thesis plus the, I would say, conference papers, or maybe the most important one is the journal papers. When we are to, go for writing, it will be known to all of you. In providing useful inputs. So therefore, I'm now trying to, do today to give you some inputs as to how you improve yourself in proper academic writing. So let me begin. Janit Disanayaka studied in Seoul National University, part of this, who is one of my students, and he has excelled in Seoul National University. So he's also going to, talk of the practical experiences of what he has used and how he improved, particularly the academic writing when it comes to publications. Let me start the first part. First of all, what is important for you to know what is academic writing? Because we have what you call the academic writing as opposed to non-academic writing. And when it comes to academic writing, basically it is the formal and impersonal language you use, basically looking at the scholars. You are not going to write anything for the general public to understand, but you are trying to convince some scholars. So therefore your writing we consider to be academic in nature, and it has to be formal. And remember, it relies heavily on research, and when you say research, it is connected or interconnected with the factual evidence and also scholars' opinions. Right. Say, for example, if you come out with something rather new, you're trying to give away your ideas and your findings formally to the other scholars. So therefore, it has to be communicated in a particular fashion which could be absorbed easily by the scholars. It is not the general public that who is going to take on board, but they are the scholars. So therefore, your writing would be precise, and also it comes from in the form of essays, papers, dissertations. All we will put under the academic writing. Now, say if you are a student, postgraduate student, definitely at the end of your period, you come out with your dissertation, and it is important for you to put across the right stuff in your dissertation. So therefore, what I'm going to do today would definitely make your life easy in preparation of your dissertations. And also you have to have a rigid structure, layout, and very clear introduction, clear problem statement, and so forth. That is how you come out when you prepare academic writing, particularly dissertation. So therefore, there are certain methods by which you put across all under each and every category. So therefore, you got to know all of them properly. And also remember, academic writing basic aims at to inform the reader with what you call the non-biased information based on the solid evidence. You cannot write anything that you have not encountered or found. So therefore, academic writing is basically based on what you have researched, what you have found out, and the importance is how you put across your findings to the scholars in your field so that they will embrace your findings. So that is why academic writing is very important. And at the same time, you should understand what is non-academic writing. The non-academic writing is some, let's say, in our loose language, we can say you write, let's say, a paper, newsletter article, which usually carries on or carries away ideas given by not only you, but also others. So therefore, what you do basically is you're reporting someone else's ideas in a proper manner so that the general readership would be able to understand what you are trying to express. So therefore, for that, there are so many lenient ways by which you can do it. So therefore, I'm not going to work on that very much today. Usually, even there are certain rules and regulations that you need to basically comply with when it comes to non-academic writing. But remember, non-academic writing is what you report not only your, someone else or maybe a group of people's work in a formal manner so that the readership would be able to understand what people have done as far as that particular topic is concerned. So therefore, for the non-academic writing, we have different ways of writing, different principles, which we will discuss maybe on another forum later. When it comes to typical writing features of academic writing, now you got to remember some of these. Use of formal language, or in other words, you cannot use slang. No contractions. Don't try to concise and then put across only half stuff. Use of third person is not very good. Saying yes, we never refer to within brackets I say you. So therefore, third person quotation will not be done. Avoidance of interrogative statements, use of declarative statements instead is what is most important. You are not trying to put across any questionable stuff. That is what is known as interrogative statements. Always you are going to put across definitive stuff that has come out from your research. Avoidance of exaggerations or hyperboles, very, very important. Because otherwise, you are trying to come out with words which have no proper meaning. Say, for example, if someone says, "I have a big finding," but how big your big is a question. So therefore, we should not use such words in proper academic writing. Avoidance of sweeping generalization. You should not generalize, because you come out with something very, very specialized, unique, and with that, generalization is basically not done. And also you have to make sure that all what you write must be clear, concise, and remember, no repetitions. Sometimes you will find that you have repeated the same thing but with different tones. Still, it is not acceptable in proper academic writing. If you look at in nutshell, so when you're looking at the typical academic writing checklist, I have tried my best to put everything here. Please, when you write your thesis or even conference paper or journal paper, make sure that you look at this checklist. If you are satisfied with the checklist, the errors that you're going to make in your publications is minimum. And it says avoid informal terms and contractions. Always try to go for formal and avoid second person pronunciations like you. We never write with the word you. Avoid emotive or exaggerated language. So always we are not trying to exaggerate. People may not be able to understand what you exactly mean. So therefore we have to avoid redundant words and phrases. Say, for example, sometimes you would like to say, in our loose language, you say, I'm killing myself to do something, meaning you are trying to work hard, but those words are not acceptable in your academic writing. Avoid unnecessary jargon and define terms where needed. Sometimes you have been using certain jargon which are very, very, I would say, technical, but you need to define what it is right at the beginning, and thereafter you don't want to define it again and again. And also you're trying to present information as precise and accurately as possible. Always try to be truthful. Or say, for example, you have achieved in your research a certain piece of work, but you try to report only what you have achieved. Do not try to exaggerate. Do not try to just bluff. Putting certain flows into this into your results. So therefore, always try to report what you have achieved. Users appropriate transitions to show the connections between ideas in logical manner. So you will understand that little later, how you are going to make use of different connections. Let's say when it comes to introduction to methodology, from methodology to results, from results to discussion, always we have been using some connections. You can be able to understand that little later when I show some of these software. Organize using paragraphs. Always come out with the paragraph. When you say paragraph, meaning a particular paragraph has been allocated for a particular purpose, meaning that every paragraph has its own meaning. Each paragraph is focused on the single idea and it has to be expressed in the clear topic sentence. So therefore, paragraph should not have redundant sentences. Every sentence in the paragraph has different meaning. Every part of the text relates to the central theme and the research question, and it has to support the claim in question with evidence. Always evidence-based writing is what we expect under academic writing. And users appropriate verb tenses in each section that I will explain later. And this is, next one is very, very important. I have seen many of you made mistakes using both UK and US English. Whenever you write a journal article, always journal specifies what language or which English that particular journal prefers to. Sometimes some says either UK or US. Some are very strict on US English. Some are very strict on UK English. So based on the required guideline, you must select either of these two, but make sure that never mix up these two together. So therefore, software will definitely help you make use of one of these rather than combination. Format numbers consistently. You need to format your numbers consistently. Say for example, sometimes you say 0.05, sometimes you say 0.5. Sometimes you say 0, write like that. Write throughout. If you are to stick to a particular number of decimals, you must stick to the number of decimals. But again, the accuracy is what is most important when you go for higher number of decimals. Think of that as well. Very clearly, you have to stick to the same format when you deal with numbers. And also citation. That I don't want to go through because I think you would have already studied that. There are methods by which you put your citations across in your paper. You need to stick to one of those accepted methods. Okay, so some of the differences between academic writing, non-academic writing, what I have explained now is given here in a shortened form. You can be able to understand when you refer to this, the differences between academic writing and non-academic writing. And then the question is, why worldwide trend is now for better software? So everybody is now trying to work towards going for software use when it comes to academic writing. Now I have very clearly given here that everybody knows that English is not our mother tongue. So in that case, we may make many mistakes. But nowadays, it is very rare chance for you to get your paper accepted with grammatical mistakes or even otherwise. So therefore, always we must strive hard to put across our paper without any mistakes, or in other words, with proper academic writing. So therefore, what we do, we are on the lookout of, particularly for free essay writers. We are always trying to go for the free essay writers or software which have limitations. So therefore, sometimes we may not get what we want if we are to use only the free available softwares, right? So therefore, that is something that you should always keep in your mind. And today's what I'm going to do with you is to introduce the good softwares that are basically built with AI, the infrastructure, right? Using the artificial intelligence, people have come out with some softwares which basically mimic exactly what you want, what your area is. So therefore, irrespective of whether you are in a, let's say in IT, or maybe let's say in structural, or maybe in chemical, or maybe in any other discipline, it doesn't matter. What you look at are basically taken care of by these softwares because it has inbuilt AI platforms. So therefore, they will try to understand what you require. So therefore, that is what this topic is all about, and that is what we want to talk of with my colleague Janik. And always remember that whenever you need these softwares, you must look at what each and every software gives rise to, because each and every software has its own merits and demerits. So therefore, do not use any software blindly. Always read what is given with the software and have some hands-on experience, and then apply, and you will learn. Definitely you acclimatize yourself to use it for further analysis or maybe for any other academic reading. So my task today is to just open up your mind or yourself for what is accepted, the best acceptable ones in the world today context. The question is how we are going to select a good software for you to go ahead with your academic writing. I just looked at all what is possible, and I jotted down here basically the whatever the features that you should look into. Now, say for example, what everybody wants right from the beginning. If I ask, everybody says we don't want any grammatical mistakes to be done. So our software, whatever we use, must identify and correct all grammatical mistakes. Yes, that is one of the major the areas where we look for softwares. And also we need appropriate wordings instead of meaningless, or maybe sometimes we call loose wordings, right? So therefore, we should not use any taboo words, double meaning words. We should not use in academic writing. And also nowadays, there is a trend always to use active voice instead of passive voice. Now, we never say that we don't want to say that the certain measurement has been done. Instead of that, what we say is, we say that, now say if you have authors, couple of authors, what we do is we report like we measured, let's say a temperature or whatever like that. We never write nowadays using passive voice saying that temperature was measured or temperature has been measured, something like that. We hardly write. Always now, most of the good journals with high impact factor always wants us report using active voice. These softwares will definitely help you come out with active voice, even though you write passive voice, but these softwares will make them active voice. So you need not to write by your write it again. Softwares will do for you. And the most important thing that I have observed in many manuscripts, correct punctuations. You don't know where to put stop, colon, and semicolon. So those are very comes to the journal communication. And also that dash, in dash, right? So that you need to make sure that you use the right dash for right throughout your manuscript. There are certain places where you need to put dash. Say, for example, when you combine two words, you use dash, and then you need to use n dash. So that is whenever you separate two, let's say, numbers, you say 1987, between 1987 and 1998, you say 1998, this n dash, and then 1998. So that's how you write. And whenever you get any numerical value range, you use n dash. Right? Usually that's what we do. And also we use m dash. M dash is you explain a sentence, halfway through you want to bring in another part of the sentence. Then with the m dash you can start, and also you're going to finish with the m dash. And you can see that the m dash is mainly used in non-academic writing, right? In basically papers. Say if you are going to write a newsletter article, you have been using a lot of m dash. So therefore, remember to use the right dash. And good software avoids repetition. It will give you indication that you are repeating, and then you can be able to remove any repetitions. And also it will create short sentences instead of lengthy. This is another mistake we do. Always we try to write, we love to write long sentences. Rule of thumb is maximum 2 lines. If you feel that your sentence is going to be more than 2 lines, and it will be better for you to put it full stop and then start with another. So some of these software will do it for you, because then it is easy for people to read. And always you see that the publishers always request you to go for a short sentences, because readability is much convenient if you go for short sentences. And it can create a paragraph in logical sequence. Sometimes you would have come out with paragraphs which has no logical sequence, but these are AI inbuilt programs, so that they will suggest you to interchange some of these sentences. So that is very fascinating. And when you go by that, sometimes you will understand that you are not 100% correct, so that you can be able to do in a flash of a moment. And the other one is being concise in expressing than impressing. That is another mistake we do. We try to, rather than expressing, rather than writing concisely what we have done, we are trying to impress the people, saying that I have got a marvelous results. And you tend to do it, but do not do that. We don't want to impress anyone, but what we want is to express what we have found. So that can be done. So always good software will help you do so. The other one is use of appropriate vocabulary relevant to the subject matter. So that will be very important. Now say one example that I do is, whenever you are talking of something coming new regarding these days COVID-19, you are coming out something new. Always we say, rather than launch word, we say roll out. And many places you find that the correct word is roll out rather than the launch. I mean, there is no, I would say, fault in using the word launch, but what is most appropriate would be rollout. But these softwares would be able to, give you these suggestions. So that would be a very good uh, I would say attribute. Why? Because the people who read your abstract, when you send for a publication, they are the experts. The experts will look at whether your abstract or whatever your manuscript are written using standard English. So therefore, this would help you come out with the standard English. So therefore, that can be done with good software, formal, right? Say, for example, many would like to, use but, right? But you hardly use but. Instead of but, words that always replaced by a good software. Maintaining the same style throughout the writer. Abbreviation, short form, sometimes when you keep on writing, you can't remember the abbreviation you use, right? So that you try to, come out with different types of abbreviations. But a good software will try to put abbreviation the same. So therefore, there is a uniformity right throughout your manuscript. And as I mentioned earlier, sticking either to American or British English. Very, very important thing. Otherwise, always you will be getting correction saying that you have to stick to, correct English. They never say American English, British English. Sometimes they say they cannot understand. Say, for example, the American person is going to, go through, so they would be happy to see that only American English is written. So therefore, we have to understand, that you stick to one of them, not the combination. Proposing synonyms when appearing more than once or twice is very important. Now, say, for example, you have been sometimes overusing word use. You keep on writing, I use this, I use that. Likewise, you always use the word, use. So the instead of the word use, this software will give you a lot of good synonyms with which you can be able to select one of them so that reader is not going to get bored. Reader would be interested to read your stuff. Rephrasing with better meaning. That is what is most important. Since we are not, good at writing, if you are not at, good at writing, whatever your sentence, always try to rephrase, because rephrasing will help us come out with a good meaning when when a person reads. Right? Sometimes when you write a sentence, for us we can understand. Third party may not be able to understand because we have not used the correct phrasing. So therefore, the rephrasing will be done, and also sometimes you call it paraphrasing will be done. That is again a good idea, and then you come out with a new, the sentence or new wording. So that is called the paraphrasing, and most of us need paraphrasing when you write a manuscript. Okay, so that can be done with good software. And correcting capitalized words. Whenever you write name, whenever you write a name of a country, name of a city, always we start with capitalized word, which sometimes forget. We may forget when you keep on writing, but good software will do it for you. So therefore, there is no problem for you to remember this particular principle. So software itself does it. Avoiding or adding the word the in sentence. This is another problem that we envisage in many manuscripts. Sometimes you are adding too much of the. Sometimes you have no the in front of some of these words. Right? So therefore, good software will be able to help you either to add or cut the right throughout your manuscript. And also software will help you avoid plagiarism, because the plagiarism is another problem that we find, because you're trying to get sometimes when you write your discussions from someone else paper, right? So, and then you try to stick to what he wants, what he has basically given. So therefore you basically get caught to plagiarism. But this software will help you remove the plagiarism, so therefore you are safe. So then there is no problem as now. Since so many things can be corrected by using a particular software, which otherwise takes days and days. So therefore that is why nowadays very important for you to select a good software that would help improve all what is given here. Now when it comes to today's software, now I have selected the worldwide popular artificial intelligence inbuilt software for academic writing. Now I have been explaining only these four with you: Grammarly, Ginger, Writefull, and Paperpal. Now how I arrived at is based on this article which appears in Nature, right? So I have given this article, alongside. Please read this one. This will give you an understanding why these softwares are very, very important. So therefore, remember, we are using, sometimes you would have heard Grammarly and Ginger, but perhaps you would have not heard Writefull and Paperpal in Sri Lanka. But those who are in the outside, yes, they may have heard of Writefull and Paperpals. So therefore, it is time for us to switch into this, one of these, or maybe sometime you use a couple of them, maybe at least two, because each has its own merit, as I mentioned earlier. So use of two will definitely improve your manuscript in no time. So therefore, let us look at how you can be able to use all of these. Now we'll start with the Grammarly software. Right, so we start with the Grammarly software. This is the most popular grammar checking software in the world. This is not what I say. This is what is reported in Nature. Right, so therefore that is what I have taken right at the beginning. And you see that it says Grammarly is probably the most recognized grammar check software on the market. Right, and I'm not going to read everyone, and I'll be say, for example, I think you can be able to request a copy of this, and then you can keep, then you can be able to read it. And I'm going to read only what is given here in red color. That is what is most important. And the second bullet says it's AI powered writing assist. Now see, and it is inbuilt in the AI platform. So therefore you can be able to use some of the previous experience. Always this will keep updating. If you have this Grammarly software, always you need to plug in, and then it has to be updated, because the management will keep on improving the Grammarly software. So what you can do is it can add onto the Google Chrome, Gmail, Microsoft Word, Outlook, Firefox, Safari, Edge. So many engines, search engines you can be able to add on, or writing software like Microsoft Word you can be able to apply, or even you can be able to use it online. Straight away you can be able to use online, and you can install as a Mac or Windows desktop app, and maybe even Android and iOS mobile app. You can be able to use it. And it says other useful tools are includes punctuation, style, tone, and plagiarism checks. So all of these can be very well checked by this Grammarly software, and it offers a free version with basic spelling, grammar, and punctuation suggestions. And it also has a premium version with advanced suggestions plus fluency, word choice, readability, scores, plagiarism detection. So many things you will get if you are to get the paid version, right? But for you to start, if you don't have the Grammarly, first thing is with one email, you can be able to download the free version, and I do believe it can be used for 3 months. Thereafter, you can't. Then they will stop it. But I would advise now. I would advise you to, if possible, buy this Grammarly. If possible, right? So because the cost is given here. Premium version start at 29.95 per month, which is pricey compared to other products. But of course, it has lots of pros. I have been paying, it's actually annually, I have been paying 169 or almost $170 every year to update this, because it's actually for the premium version you have to keep on, because otherwise they will cancel your license. Then you are not in a position to use it. Right. So therefore, the best thing is over 30 million people and more than 50,000 teams are using Grammarly every day. So therefore, this would help you save a lot of your time. If you're an academic, if you're a student, and since you have to write so many reports, you can be able to save your time if you have the Grammarly software with you. And if you don't have, I would recommend you to first go for a free version, use it, but some of the plug-in, the widgets, you are not in a position to use with the free, you never enjoy, but available with the Grammarly software. Okay. Now this is one example that I want to give you. Now what I did was, I got this is actually an abstract from a journal paper. This is international journal paper abstract. I can completely copy it and put it into Grammarly software. You can be able to see now the red color underlining are wrong, so that you will be getting something in. Right? So therefore, so many mistakes. Now, when you are looking at here, you can be able to see that the overall score 26, and look at the correctness 27, alerts, clarity, engagement, delivery, all of them are given. So that would give you an idea how good this write-up is, right? So therefore, remember, when I look at, then I found that this is in fact not the good journal for you to write, right? So I think you would have heard the word there. So this is one of the predatory journals. So look at predatory journals are not worried of your English, not worried of your grammatical mistakes, not worried whether they are proper academic writing, right? So therefore, you get lots of mistakes, so that the people who read will not get what is required. But Grammarly would be able to solve this problem within seconds, right? And then you can be able to get the performances. What I showed earlier, here you can see that text score 26 out of 100. So if you can give 100, the maximum that you can get for this abstract is 26 marks, and the reliability and everything is given here. So therefore, this is not a proper write-up that you can post for a good journal. So therefore, supposing if you write like this, use the Grammarly, correct them, so that you can be able to say that your performance number increases rapidly. So therefore, the third party, or maybe the referees, or maybe anybody who wants to read your paper, would be able to comprehend what is given in your paper easily. Look at the number of mistakes. In the Grammarly software, you can be able to identify. See, determine the use, 9 errors, 3 errors wrong or missing prepositions, confused word 5, incorrect noun number 2. Likewise, it gives you an idea where you have done mistakes. So that would help you identify your mistakes, basics mistakes. Look at the first one. Determine the use, a and the. So many mistakes. So therefore, the person who wrote this needs to improve himself or herself, particularly in that line. So therefore, look at the Grammarly helps you improve yourself along the time run. Therefore, it is up to us to correct ourselves. So therefore, if you do these mistakes over and over again with the time, if you try to learn with the Grammarly, definitely your number of mistakes you do per paper would go down. So therefore, good exercise for you as well. So therefore, Grammarly would help you improve yourself, along the time line. Then we have another one called the Ginger software. Ginger is also a little older one, and this is again a leading provider of AI-powered writing tool. And this is more than 10 million people worldwide use this daily. An AI-based sentence rephraser is the most important as far as Ginger is concerned. If somebody wants to rephrase whatever your sentences, I would recommend for y'all to use Ginger. Ginger is the most appropriate, or I would say many are using Ginger rather than the grammatical mistakes correction. They use the Ginger for rephrase. So now you see the use of two, both Grammarly and Ginger. If you can use both, Ginger will help you to rephrase or paraphrase, whereas the Grammarly would help you correct all grammatical mistakes. So combination would help you come out with a very good paper. So therefore, always think of use of 2-3 softwares so that your chances for the rejection of your paper is very remote, or chances of getting it accepted is very high if you use couple of software. So that has been the practice for many. Now I have been using both. Whenever I come out with a good paper, definitely it will guide me change certain wordings and also the style of writing. And it is a browser extension you can add on to the Office, or it can be used as standalone tool. And you have iOS for Macs, Apple computers, and also Android through an API. So therefore, there are so many methods by which you can add on this Ginger also into your system. And again, as per the Grammarly, Ginger also free version available, but it has a weekly limit. Right? And the regular monthly cost is $29.96, and which is in fact fairly high. But sometimes if you just request, they have discounts. They offer discounts. Those days, in fact, I bought Ginger with one payment, but now it is not allowed. But now you need to pay monthly. It's not monthly; it's actually annual. On monthly, whatever the 12 months value, you can be able to pay. But usually, when you pay biannually, the rate is little low. So therefore, there are schemes by which you can be able to use this. So therefore, when you're looking at the Ginger, remember that is what is used by many who rephrasing or paraphrasing. Rephrasing is you have written, you are going to modify it. Paraphrasing is you are going to write again, completely come out with a new sentence. Now this is what is applied. Now, if you look at the same thing that I did earlier, same abstract, Now here you can see that it is not going to identify many mistakes, but instead of that, it is going to give you rephrasing. It is going to, that is why I say that I hardly use Ginger software for grammar checks. Right now, when you look at this one, you can see that it has hardly identified what Grammarly has identified. So therefore, always try to use the Ginger for rephrasing or paraphrasing. Now, this is what I say. You can use the Ginger. Now, say this is one example. Up, I have highlighted a particular sentence. Now, down, it gives you, the different rephrasing sentences. Now, you see that there are 4. But all of these 4 rephrasing sentences are much better than what is given in the original text, right? So therefore, that would help you increase or improve your English vocabulary, and also the way of writing, connections, connectivity, all can be improved when you are to go for this particular software, because it will give you something completely new sometimes, and then better English words could be put across when it comes to a sentence. So therefore, since most of you are postgraduate students, I would advise for every sentence, try to use this and see whether you are to come out with something very, I would say, improved versions. So therefore, you can see now 4 versions have been there. You can select one of them. So that would better reflect your idea rather than what is written already in the main text. And also it would give, in fact, synonyms. Now look at, everybody is going to write the word specially. Now if you are going to write more than twice the specially word, I mean, it's not that good. So therefore, this software would be saying just go onto that particular the connectivity, and then you just highlight or the right click your mouse, you get a lot of synonyms coming out. Out of this, you can be able to select. But remember, when you are selecting, don't think that you can be able to select anything given here. No, not at all. You have to have sometimes, you have to have prior knowledge in selecting even the synonyms. So therefore, that is why we say that we believe, everybody says, this software cannot be applied blindly. Right? Now, say for example, instead of this specially, I cannot use for this sentence, there is a word called above all. You cannot use the word above all here. It does not match at all. Right? But you can be able to use notably. That can be used. Or sometimes you can be able to use principally. But above all cannot be used here. So therefore, that is why you have to read it little and understand what can be used properly. And then comes the other one, Writefull software, and this helps you write, paraphrase, copy, edit, and more. And if you are looking at all the software that are available in the market, and the nature, the article that I have just put across earlier says Writefull is the best, and my experience is also same. Writefull is the best. I have been using the Writefull. I have the paid version, but it is somewhat cheaper. You see that for a year you have to pay only $22.68, right? So therefore, if you are a frequent writer, I would advise you to buy this, because it would give you a lot of things that the Ginger and Grammarly cannot do. This has been meant for academic writing, but earlier 2 versions are not only meant for academic writing, but also for non-academic writing as well. But this is meant for academic writing, so therefore this has been improved very well. And Say, for example, for academic and technical writing, you can be able to use it and it corrects grammar, wording, sentence structure, and much more. And the best language feedback that you can get is given here, given by this Writefull. The best language that you can find for your area of expertise. That is what is lacking in others. This is because of the AI inbuilt software. It will identify the discipline in which you work. Now, one example I can use it in my areas. We have been using word called adsorption, AD. We have used absorption using AB. We have been using word called sorption. But Writefull will identify all three separately very accurately. But when you look at others, even when you write AD, adsorption, they will ask you to correct as absorption, AB, because they know in the dictionary only absorption. But there is another word, completely a different meaning when it comes to adsorption, AD, and also when it comes to sorption, again it is generalized. So therefore, remember this package or the software would help us identify very clearly, and also it combines with blessed with clever widgets to help you write in different aspects. Later I will give you what are these widgets are, and it is very fast and secure, very easy, very user friendly, that you can be able to use this. And it does not only give you instant language, but it will give you feedback on your essays, paper, and thesis, how you should do, and it will basically let you learn. So therefore, that is why it is basically trained on millions of published research papers. If you are to suggest a particular word using this Writefull, it does not give you arbitrarily a word. It will search, in your area of expertise, basically traversing millions of published data, research papers, and then only it suggests a tailor-made word for you. So that is something that you learn a lot if you have this software. And sometimes you're stuck in your sentence. You don't know how to write it. Sometimes it all happens to us. I mean, free flow writing may not be there. Sometimes you get stuck. But in an event like that, this Writefull software helps you finish your sentence. Right. For that one, you get different widgets. That's called the sentence palette. I will show you that later. So therefore, there are certain other improved, I would say, attributes are found in this software. So therefore, when it comes to manuscript writing, this becomes the number one, in the world, because that have been, said by many people. What you can do here is, now what I have put here is the full paper. What you do first is you write your paper, manuscript. You should be called manuscript at this level. We don't call it paper. In your manuscript, you come out with your full paper. Now the time for you to come out with your proper abstract. Now, Writefull software will generate your abstract very easily. Now, what is given here is the full paper. Now, when you just go down, come down. So along this is only a, scanning of paper pages. So therefore, you may not be able to see. But actually, this is actually the full paper with, let's say, a couple of pages. Okay, and that's why it says the text must be 1,000+ characters long. So you have that, and then automatically Writefull software goes through the entire paper and focuses and then proposes this. Now, what you have seen here is what you see here is what the Writefull proposed. What the Writefull proposed is given with the even the title, an investigation into a new inlet waterway transport network in Colombo Fort, something like that. And this is the abstract. And this is what the original authors have come out. Development on water transport system in Sri Lanka with available water resources. It is not very clear. But when you are looking at what is given by the Writefull is very clear. And you can see when you read the abstract given by the authors are not clear, ambiguous, mistakes, lots of things you can find. But look at what the Writefull proposes. Very simple, everybody can grasp very well, understandable. So therefore, you can come out with your first abstract very easily with the Writefull software. And it is very, very accurate. Very, very accurate. Right? How they use AI, the platform. That is how they come out with the whatever the abstract. But remember, this is plagiarism checked. You are not going to get caught, under this plagiarism. If you are to come out with this, I have seen that some people are coming up with the abstract using Writefull software. They are not trying to, write by their own abstract. The Writefull software itself gives you the abstract, very clear picture, and then very, very accurate. And not only that, it will give you the title. Now look at the title. The original title is that, and this title is given by the new title is given by the Writefull software, which is grammatically correct, understandable, simple, rather than what you have seen up. So therefore, those who are developing the writing skills, or if you are to come out with your first couple of papers, use this. You will not go wrong if you use this one. So therefore, there is a widget here which help you come out with the title. So therefore, we are not worried of your title, because sometimes you have to keep changing your titles. Yes, when you write your manuscript, you start with one title. At the end of the day, when you finish your manuscript, your title may be different, right? But that can be done, within a couple of seconds if you have a Writefull software. And also, what it does, it gives you simple search. Check how words or phrases used by other authors and see example sentence from published papers. Right. Now, one example is you. I refer you is now, let's say we. Now, you want to write your manuscript T test. You don't know the first simple T is simple, no capital. Then again dash test. Sometimes this test you say simple T. We don't know. Sometimes you have misled. You have misled yourself. So therefore, then what you do is you go to the Writefull. The Writefull looks at how the same thing written in number of other publications, and then it says use as a T test to compare. See, they are now comparing. So now what you have come out is now correct. Same wordings, same characters, same capitalized and symbolized characters are there. Now you know that how to write T test correctly if you are to refer to it. Otherwise you don't know. You make mistakes. Second one is you can compare. Compare two words or phrases to see how often each is used and how their usage differ. Now say, I have a problem of whether to use this either of these words, notable or noticeable. What is correct, I don't know. Then if you just put it into Writefull, they just go through their entire bank and they say many people have used notable. If you look at the percentage, 53%. Noticeable is used by 57%. So therefore, then I tend to select the word noticeable than the notable. See how I learn. Because when you start your career, we don't know sometimes. what word is more appropriate. But this would help you come out with the right wording, or I would say most appropriate wording. And you can compare in context, meaning handy when you are not sure which word or phrase is best to use in your own context. Verify with stats and examples. Now, I just want to use this particular phrase. Sometimes you may call an effective algorithm, sometimes you may call an efficient algorithm. What is correct? And then I will put this, and then it says an effective algorithm, only 5% has written. An efficient algorithm, 95% have used word efficient. So therefore, it is in this case very obvious that this effective algorithm is not correct. So therefore, the efficient algorithm seems to be much more precise. So therefore, I have been using the word right throughout for my manuscript, an efficient algorithm. Now see how you correct yourself with what you know and what you do not know. And same thing you can do words in context. See what words fits your phrase. Use it to check what prepositions to use, what verbs go with the noun, or to fill any other gaps you are stuck with. Say, for example, we would like to say, aims to give a comparison. I'm not very good, let's say I'm not very good in my vocabulary. I use the word give. And others have used this word, aims to provide the comparison, 5%. Even provide, not very good. Look at aims to perform a comparison, 95%. So when it comes to comparison, you are going to perform, right? Rather than provide the comparison, you are going to perform the comparison in your manuscript. That is what you do basically. So therefore, 95% is right. So therefore, the word, common word give should be able to scrap. So then you can be able to add synonyms in your context. Add some variation to your text and see what other words you could do. Also help you find more suitable word candidates. Some say, for example, what I say is reported a big problem. I don't know the problem. So how it is to be exaggerated. So I use big. And others use reported a major problem. The problem seems to be much better rather than say problem. So therefore, always remember, correct your synonyms, and always you may find the better synonyms for some of your words. Writefull would be helpful in doing that. Now this is one example. When you go for the language search widgets in this Writefull, so look at, you say had a positive impact, had a significant impact, had a substantial impact. You can be able to see the percentages. Right? Look at the one before the last, had a big impact, only 2% rights. Right? So therefore, the what comes first are the best ones. So therefore, automatically you have been using the right wordings. Or in other words, the meaningful words can be used in your manuscript if you use Writefull software. For that, we have what you call, there is a widgets. So that is called the language search widgets. Will help you improve that. And also you can be able to use that, to say the same thing using different words. That's called the paraphrasing. You're trying to write. But for that, you have 3 categories, low, medium, and high. Sometimes you prefer to go for a very high category, right? So they are very, very academic when you go towards the high. Low is always you use, even in your normal, day-to-day works, you can use low. Now this is, I'm low mode. One of these sentence I use, right? And look at the word. Then compare it with an existing public translation. That is the sentence. You have basically got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 117, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Check. You can collect what is appropriate for you. All 5 are taught. So therefore you can get, better paragraphs or maybe sentences. That is what is called the paraphrasing, right? Under paraphrasing widget, you can be able to do. Now this is under low. Same thing you can do under medium, right? More, I would say advanced when you go for medium mode. But if you go for high mode, it is much more advanced. But if you're going to write for a very good high impact journal, I would advise you to go for high mode. If you go for a high mode, definitely you will be able to improve. Right. And again, you can be able to use same thing with the sentence palette. Right. So for that, you can be able to put the right wording starting from your introduction up to the acknowledgement like this. Now these are the connectivities. Now whenever you write introduction, if you look at here, introduction, if you look at, and then there are certain wording that you can be able to recognize as widely used, made, well known. All of these words are found in the introduction. When it comes to literature, you can be able to see how you write, and that same is true with methods. See, certain phrases that are basically connected with the method section are given there. Right? When you can go, when you just open this with the software online, you can see every one of them. Right? So there are so many combinations will be given to you. Right? This is just for your understanding. Now, say for conclusions, you say in summary. We have presented. The paper has shown. In this paper, the results suggest. See that how the results, the conclusion section be started. So you need this jargon for you to support the conclusion section. And also not only that, you can be able to apply this to correct even the English grammar. But I would advise here the English or the grammatical correction is somewhat better, but this is not as good as Grammarly when it comes to grammar checks. So therefore, for the rest, this would be ideal, but for grammar checks, I would recommend you to go for Grammarly. Then we come to the last one, Paperpal software, which is almost same as Writefull. This is free. You can be able to download, but this has lots of I would say restrictions. So therefore, this is not as user friendly as Writefull, and Writefull has lots of widgets with which you can do wonders. But Paperpal is not as good as Writefull, but you can give a try, right? And then I have given certain the recommendations given for Paperpal, and Paperpal is becoming now popular. Some of these publishers request you to use the Paperpal software, some of these pre-versions, before you send your manuscript to those journals. You have to use it is a must. So therefore, I would advise you, if you can download this and see whether you can use this, definitely it would help your manuscript a lot. Right? And then why it is important, it is given like this. It would help in many ways, and this is how it looks like. Again, as I mentioned, correction of your grammar is not as good as that of Grammarly. Grammar is the best, but still this would help you come out with the paraphrasing and also giving you a good words. Synonyms are much better, right? And also there is another one that you need. I'm not going to go into that detail. You need sometimes to find other languages, papers, or maybe the paper written in the other language, like but if you use this DeepL Translator software, that is the most accurate translator so far. And then What you need is to drag on the Chinese stuff here. It will convert it into English. Then you will be able to get the English write-up. So therefore, make use of this if you want to deal with different languages, right? So this is how platform or the framework to which you have to put across, so that that would immediately translate, and it is based on AI. So therefore, your wordings, technical wording seems to be much better, right? And also we thought of giving you some idea. If we are not going to use softwares, there are still search engines which we usually call human interfaces. Janit would be able to help you come out with this, because I got something from him, South Korea and proofreading and Hong Kong proofreading with some nominal amount. You can get this thing done, but this is what we discourage for you to do. But we would like you to go for the softwares and try to improve yourself and try to come out with best manuscript, so that the publishable frequency probability would go up in no time. Thank you very much. Since the time has run fast, I would hand over back to the Naila.
Thank you very much for the rich and valuable content, Lisa. Next, let me introduce the second expert to you. He is Janik Disanayak. He's a CIMA past finalist and a civil engineering graduate from the University of Writefull. After his internship at the water supply and drainage board in Sri Lanka, and exposure to the Nithotamola garbage dump rehabilitation project, he dived deep into the ocean called environmental engineering. During his master's at Seoul National University, where he published in the areas of mediation engineering, rainwater harvesting, and microplastics. He was lucky to receive the award of academic excellence from the Ministry of Education of South Korea for the best academic performance among all foreign students under master's category for the year 2020. After his master's, he worked as a research engineer at a South Korea company developing solution for monitoring air quality using online gas chromatography, NDIR, and chemical sensors. Besides, he was lucky to develop an online dissolved gas analyzer for the transformer fault gas detection using gas chromatography, FID, and TCD detectors. Here, he developed an AI based on fuzzy logic for fault detection on transformers. The current chapter that he is writing involves being a life certified Scrum product owner of his own software development company in Korea and supervising the hardware development, IoT ML based solution development for solving environmental and social issues in Cheonji province in South Korea. Despite the busy schedule, he kept learning and finished his MBA at the University of West London with merit, specializing in marketing. So, dear Mr. Janik Disanayak, research lounge is open for you.
Hello, everyone. It's very nice to meet all of you and then speak in front of all of you. And I should first thank Professor Javir because he's my mentor. And well, I still remember like after my bachelor's, I was there at the environmental engineering laboratory, and then we sat next to each other, and then he was like taking us through like how to write manuscripts, sentence by sentence, phrase by phrase, and paragraph by paragraph. And well, academic writing was supposed to be something similar to art, and then that art was something that that skill was something that we were missing back then. But after a lot of trial and error with Professor Javir and the team there at the environmental engineering laboratory at University of Toronto, I was really lucky to I was really lucky to get that experience. And when I moved to SNU and South Korea, it was easier for me to kind of compete with other students there, especially when it comes to writing papers. So since Professor Jaivira took you through in very detail about all these applications, I will have this session in a more practical sense. So I'll share my screen and then I'll take you through how to use these platforms one by one. So I have prepared, give me a second. I have prepared some notes. So yeah, so I'll give you guys some introduction into the Grammarly software. So as Professor Jaivira mentioned, it's basically a tool to check grammar, spellings, and then you can check for the tone, whether it's formal or informal, likewise. So when you're basically setting up Grammarly, they will ask you to, kind of select what you want, how you want to use Grammarly. So whether you want to have mistake-free writing, or whether you want to improve the readability, or whether you want to check for plagiarism, or like compare the vocabulary that you have used with the other writers. And then if you want to feel confident, and then the formality of, your text, and then finally improving the overall writing quality. So when you're setting up Grammarly, you can basically indicate which one of these categories that you are aiming to improve. So once you set this up, Grammarly will basically be installed onto your computer. And then, for example, let's take up one text. So I hope you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so as you can see, this is one of the papers that I managed to publish. So when you're writing the paper, you can see here, Grammarly will be, suggesting certain things. So you can see that clarity change the wording. So you can choose to accept and you can choose to dismiss. So suppose you write a sentence here and then you make a mistake. So Grammarly will notice that. If you want to check, give a second, I think it doesn't work here, but usually Grammarly checks for each and every sentence, and then it will indicate what are the things that you want to change, you should change. So I use this Grammarly platform to improve my overall grammar and even enhance my vocabulary as well. So as you can see here, I have used stay neutral with regard to. So instead of using that, we can, use certain words. And you can, use the rephrase tool also to kind of rephrase the certain sentence. So that's basically about Grammarly, because now I'm kind of using Ginger a lot. So I will explain about Ginger in extensive detail. So the next platform that I want to discuss is the DeepL Translator platform. So as you know, I live in South Korea currently. So basically most of the research papers, they are in South Korean language. But unfortunately, I couldn't use DeepL Translator because they still don't support Korean, which is unfortunate. But some of the papers that I had to cite or refer to was from China. So I had to use this DeepL Translator as well. This is something that I'm not going to explain in detail because it's simply, just dragging and dropping all the text that you want to convert, and it will automatically convert. So this is a sample text that I have converted from Spanish to English. And then the most important thing that you can see here is that it allows you to select which English that you want to use, whether it's the UK version or whether it's the US version or whether it's the Australian version. You can toggle between them. So the one platform that I want to highlight here today is the Ginger platform, because I use it instead of like Grammarly a lot. So Ginger allows you to check for grammar or like spelling mistakes, or even to paraphrase either online, or you can download an application. So if you want to check anything online, give me a second. So if you want to use the Ginger platform to check for grammar, you simply has to copy and paste certain text onto this platform. Let's say like I'm going to check this platform, this paper. So here, now I copy pasted what I want to convert or what I want to check. So you can check whether there are like anything that I have to change grammatically, or like spellings are bad or something like that. But then it also offers you this function to rephrase. So you can see like it gives so many options, but you shouldn't, I advise you not to, blindly click the first thing that appears here, because sometimes the rephrased meaning would be different from the intended meaning, because you have made so much grammar mistakes in the sentence, the original sentence, the meaning that might come out would be different. So go through the suggestions and pick the best that you feel like that matches the most. So if you select this one, it would automatically update, and then you can copy paste this entire text to your document. So either you can do it online, or you can download this application, like for MacBook, or even for Ginger OS, or even for Android, and then you will get this editor. You will get this editor on your computer. This is an application, so you can basically type your paragraph or even the entire manuscript here, and then it will suggest you, like ask you to rephrase. And then again, like similarly to the online platform, you can basically either copy it or you can edit it here itself. So yeah, so that is basically about the Ginger writer. And let me move into the next part. So as Professor Javier mentioned, like Writefull tool is one of the best tools available to kind of improve your academic writing. It is basically focused on improving your academic manuscript. So I would recommend using this platform to improve your overall English or grammar. So when you're using Writefull, firstly, you have to download it. You have to download it, and you have to add it as a plugin to your word processor, like Microsoft Word. So yeah, so here, once you add the Writefull plugin on the Home tab on the Microsoft Word, you will see like open Writefull. So once you click Writefull, you will have like several tabs. So you can check the entire document by clicking that, or you can check like paragraph by paragraph. It will take some time. So not only like the Writefull program, they check for grammar and spelling mistakes, they will also fetch some suggestions as to how we can improve the text. So that is why it is taking some time, because it's a machine learning algorithm. So almost done.
Mr. Jamit?
Yeah. So I'm waiting for this one to finish the analysis. So I think we have to wait for about like 1 minute or something. So yeah. So here, you can see that they will basically check for like some grammar mistakes and even for repetition. And they will suggest you what we should do. For example, you can say that I have capitalized each letter, which is kind of like in certain cases like not good. So because of it, like modified oyster shell powder, so they have suggested it. So if you feel like okay, this is something that is acceptable to you, so you can either select accept it, so it will automatically correct. So there are likewise, like there are so many mistakes here in this paper. So you can see that there are about like 121 suggestions that they have suggested throughout the entire paper. So you can go through them one by one, and then you can select what are the things that you want to change and what are the things that you should not change. And the best thing about Writefull is that they basically go through this entire document. They analyze the context. So they will suggest, or like they will rephrase the sentence based on the words relevant to that area. So because of it, like I think paraphrasing, Writefull is the best platform available at the moment. So not only that, like this platform can be used to basically proofread vocabulary, punctuation, and style. And then you can like edit it like by sentence as well. And then you have certain widgets here. As Professor mentioned in his presentation, you have a sentence palette where you can create sentences and you can search for languages. You can use a title generator and you can basically, use the paraphraser as well. So I'm not going to use these tools like one by one because I think it might take a lot of time. So I think you can basically like copy paste this entire thing. Let's do just this one. So this is much better than the one that we have used, right? So instead of using modified oyster shell powder with iron trisulfate heptahydrate to improve arsenic uptake in solution and in contaminated soils, this one suggested that Writefull suggested that you should use a normal modified oyster shell coating with iron trisulfate heptahydrate for assessment of arsenic contaminated soil. So this one also, you have to check whether this one actually matches what you have done, because in this case, like coating with iron 3 heptahydrate was not what we did in the experiment. So we cannot use this title that it automatically generated. So sometimes Writefull can also give you some suggestions, but they are not necessarily 100% correct as well. So you have to use it with proper care. So that's basically about the Writefull software. And then let's move on to the Paperpal. It's basically something similar to Writefull, but this is a platform that I haven't used also. So, but I think editing is free, but anyways, like it has some in-app purchases. like Writefull, it has some premium features and it has some free features. But overall, it can be used to improve your academic writing. So those things are the software that I will be covering through this forum. But I want to highlight the other platforms that Professor suggested that we have used. That is basically like a professional editing service. So when you use a professional editing service, they basically comment not just on the overall grammar or like overall like adequacy of the language, but instead they basically check for each and specific journal requirements also. For example, each journal has their own template. Each journal has their own way of citing. For example, like if you go through this document, you would realize that I have cited basically using numbers, right? But some journals would ask you to cite something similar to something like this, like it's all something like that. So those things, these softwares like Writefull, they cannot check. But if you use like a professional editing service like Editage or the other link that Professor showed in his presentation, they basically check for like these citation styles and even the referencing styles. So like even here, like you have APA style, you have Harvard referencing. So they check for all these things as well. And they will give you comments like check this. And then you have to add the publisher, location, etc., etc. So they will comment extensively and how to improve, and they would use track changes, and they would just track changes and add all the changes necessary, make all the changes necessary, so that you can, once you receive the corrected paper, they will send you 2 documents, which is the corrected one with all changes accepted, and then they will send you another version which with all the corrections without accepting the corrections. So you can basically see everything corrected with red color outings like this. So you can go through them one by one, and then you can check like, okay, whether this change is acceptable or whether this change is not acceptable. So personally, like I use this in Korea because I was in a rush to get the paper published. Actually, my professor was in a rush to get it published. So that page had about 5,000 words and had about like 16 pages. So it cost me about like 100 to 150 US dollars. And then I think we did another, but that is with the Korean editing service. And with the Hong Kong editing service, I think we corrected one manuscript that had about roughly 5,100 words and about 17 to 21 pages, I think. So that cost about $80, $70 to $80. So using the Hong Kong professional proofreading service is much cheaper. So, but then again, like in some countries, they have restrictions on what services can be used. For example, in Korea, we can only use Korean proof editing services. So we have no option but to go to the $150 one. So that's basically about the language editing services and proofreading. But I want to talk about 2 important platforms, which was basically the most useful 2 platforms when you are like writing papers or like manuscripts. First one was the Mendeley Reference Manager. So what I did when I was writing all the papers, or even when I'm taking classes, taking lectures, I basically put all my reference materials like this. I put everything for, like, I took one class for chemical stabilization. So I put all the papers that I read here, that I would use them for all my homework or like assignments. And when I'm writing papers also, like, I'm putting them like face masks. So this was for my MBA. So I put all these papers that I read here so that it's easier for me to cite them, that I'm not losing them again. So this is one of the most important tools that I learned during my master's, because I think when I was working with Professor Jayavira, we had this issue. We were writing, we were paraphrasing, but then again, after some time, we forgot like where we basically took that chunk of passage, or like the phrase, or like the sentence. So in order to keep track of all your publications, we can arrange them in this platform, and you can like add the plugin to Microsoft Word. Not this one, sorry. Yeah, here you can add the Mendeley plugin to this platform, and then you can go to references. So in this citation sections, basically you have something for Mendeley, but here it doesn't appear. But in the citations, you basically can like add like all the things that you appear on the Mendeley platform. It appears here, so that it is easier for you to cite, and then all your bibliography will be automatically generated based on the style that you need. Because sometimes, I mean, most of the times, the first journal that you submit will not accept your paper sometimes. So then you have to send it to another journal, and then they ask for different formatting. So you have to change everything one by one. And it is going to take a lot of time if you have about like 100 references or something. So the best way to do that is to have either Mendeley Reference Manager, or I don't know whether you guys are familiar, but use EndNote. EndNote is another platform that you can use to manage your references, and you can easily cite. And then finally, I want to talk about this platform as well. So this is basically Turnitin plagiarism checker. I'm pretty sure like it's available. I think it was available at Morocco University when I was there. And when like before you submit your paper, like you can upload to this platform like Turnitin, and then they have this feedback studio where you can check for similarities. So here you can see that my paper or the assignment has a similarity score of 12. And some journals, they basically specify the amount of similarity that you can have. So some papers say that the similarity score should be less than 30 or less than 25%. And that basically should be without like you have to exclude the quotes, and then exclude the bibliography also. So you can check all these things, and then you can like reevaluate the similarity score, and then it will change. And then you can check like where you have copied, or where the similarity is coming from. So you can click here, and basically it will divert you to like where the similarity was. So in my case, since I have to check, so here, so after like removing all the quotes and bibliography, my similarity score reduced to 2%, right? So you can check, like, see, you can check like where I have copied it, and what are the changes that I have made. And actually, like, you can check whether you have paraphrased this text also. So that is something I think we will not be discussing in this forum. So basically that wraps up the discussion that I wanted to have. That wraps up like all that I wanted to share with you. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer.
Thank you so much for your valuable presentation, Mr. Janis. So, dear students, if you have the experience to share with us, this is the time for you. Or you may have different questions to ask. You may have some points to clarify. So, our expert panel is ready to share their knowledge. You can raise any questions here. Some students have posed some questions in our chat line. So I think Mr. Janik has replied maybe.
I think Janet has replied some of them, but it's time for you all to ask questions. If you need any help, myself and Janet, we are prepared to, give you. And if you want to, just see some of these softwares, how it works, you can come and then meet me, those who are in Sri Lanka, and then definitely I will help you to understand, because I have all paid versions, so that you can be able to apply and see how it works. Because this is the time for you to improve, and then you can save a lot of your time. And also you are going to, relieve the burden of your supervisors of correcting your papers. So therefore, it's time for you all to go for these softwares.
Sir, one of our students asked about safety of information when we use these softwares.
Absolutely no problem, because they are going to use encrypted data. So therefore, meaning that they're going to save some of your data in the encrypted versions, meaning that they are converted to either numbers or some characters, so that nobody can be, even they retrieve, nobody can be able to identify. So therefore, make sure that the software itself says encrypted data, meaning that they are basically converted into different form. So therefore, another person or the third party cannot be able to retrieve anything.
Thank you, sir. Some ask what is the best software, but I think
I mean, it's going to be. I mean, I would rather like Janik to answer, because as far as my experience is concerned, I have been using all three frequently. That is Grammarly, Ginger, and Writefull. Because for me, each has its own merits. So I have learned a lot from each. So therefore, I'm not asking you to do it, but at least I do advise you to use two of these. Writefull. I don't know, Janet, how about you?
Mr. Janet.
And in fact, I just want to tell you, Janet, during his MSc, has published 11 papers during his 2 years of MSc. And then he became the #1 international student among even Chinese, the best student for that particular year, because he managed to write a lot within short period of time. So why not our people, our students here? I think if we use them very with precaution, definitely you can be able to save a lot of your time, and then you can publish. Because if you publish, you get a lot of opportunities. So in other words, the sky is the limit if you can publish. So for better publications, definitely you need to get help of these software. I don't know, the Janet, how about your experience of use of this?
Well, so like as I mentioned, like I use Grammarly basically to improve my overall grammar. Like I use Grammarly when I'm writing emails and even company emails at the moment. So Grammarly helps you to improve your overall English and then make it look more or less like native English. So it's better to use Grammarly as a practice. I use it even on my phone. Whenever like I'm sending a message, I basically check for grammar and spellings, and I try to change the wording. But when I'm writing a paper, I used to use Writefull because at SNU, they basically gave this software for free for everyone. So because of it, like I could check, like whenever I'm writing a paper, I could check like what I was writing. And the wordings also like, since the professor, I mean, actually like using Writefull itself is going to be a bit challenging for a person who's at the very beginning of their academic life. So I think what we did at the university at environmental engineering lab was the best because you have the professor and then this tool. So we write a paragraph or like one section, let's say the introduction. So we write it and then we get this software to do the corrections and then we get the feedback from the professor. And then we accept the changes or dismiss them. So that is the best way to use the Writefull software, and it's a very fast process because when you're writing and then you hit the button, as you saw, like it took only 5 minutes, right? Less than 5 minutes to check the entire paper. So you check it and then you send it to the professor, and the professor goes through them, and he will give his feedback, and then you accept the changes and you're done. So with the help of that platform, Writefull, you can like finish off your manuscript really fast. So when you're writing your manuscript, I would recommend you to use Writefull. And when you are like trying to improve your day-to-day English, it's better to use Grammarly or Ginger. I hope I answered the question.
Yeah, all right. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Dear students, do you have any more points for clarification by our expert panelist?
I think like there's one question raised by Isuru. I don't think they are going to steal your data. Yeah, I don't think that they are going to steal your data. Even those professional proofreading agencies, they basically send you this agreement. So it's a binding agreement where they are bound to not disclose your information. So all these platforms that we basically discussed during this forum, they are legal and they will not do anything like that. I think like stealing the findings or like your paper or the ideas is something associated with predatory journals, isn't it, right, Professor?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah. So none of these platforms are like predatory journals.
Mr. Jani, could you please give us your contact details? The thing is, then if our students want to contact you.
Yeah, sure. So you guys can use this email and drop me an email so that I can have a look of all the questions that you guys have.
Thank you. Dear students, do you have any more questions? Okay, then we are going to wind up the research lounge. Dear students, and thank you for the participation, and the expert panelists. Thank you for the invaluable informative session that you have granted to us. We expect your help in future as well. Okay then, we'll meet again at another research launch before long. Have a nice time until then. Goodbye.
Thank you. Thank you, Janet. Thank you.
Thank you.